YouTube, it has been a while. What's up everybody, it's JJ Buckets. I'm hoping to start a new little series today. Hopefully enough of you care about, the Olympics and Team Canada that's playing right now. We're gonna talk after each and every one of these games, hopefully I find the time, about just, some quick hitters of ups and downs in terms of what happened in the contest for Canada. And before I fully get into things, usual drill at the beginning of these videos, make sure you're leaving a like on it. It helps it out a ton in the algorithm, so thank you if you're doing that. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out my link in the description below. All right, so the first up is gonna go to RJ Barrett, or as some people I've seen on Twitter taking to calling him Star J Barrett, and I think that feels appropriate. It feels appropriate for how well he played today, and quite frankly, the fact that Canada would not have won without him. Look, he was such a stabilizing force on the offensive end. I really don't think some of the time he was getting the defensive attention that he deserved, and he absolutely capitalized on it. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely a lot of times where he was getting the defensive attention that he deserved, and in spite of that, he found a way to just get to his spots. He found a way to make his buckets. His scoring was tremendous in this game. It was a pivotal parts of the Raptors, of Team Canada winning their opening contest here. And if you're looking at this, you gotta love what you saw from RJ in game one. It's just that comfort that he has on the court right now. I really do think this is the turning point in RJ's career. Ever since he got to the Raptors, he has looked like a much better player, and I really do think it's stuff like this and performances like this that really show the signs of growth from RJ, and quite frankly why I personally have him as one of the favorites to win the MIP in the upcoming NBA season. I'm gonna throw a plus here that's also gonna lead into a minus afterwards, but I'll throw an up to Dillon Brooks and Lu Dort. When Dillon Brooks and Lu Dort were on the court, Canada was at their best. The type of defense and the type of intensity that both Dort and Brooks bring to the lineup when they are out there is absolutely game-changing, absolutely elite. And even for Brooks and Dort, they found their spaces to chip in on the offensive side as well. But Canada, as a defensive unit, as their defensive identity, it's just completely led by these two guys specifically, and the kind of effort that they're bringing on that end. So when you have them out there, they change the game for you. They really do. Now, on the flip side of it, obviously you can hear in the language, you can hear how selective it was when they're out there. That obviously is alluding to the fact that one of the minuses and one of the downs from this game is very obviously the foul trouble that Canada got into. Dort, Brooks, Powell, all gone from the game, all fouled out with the 5 fouls. And man, you gotta be smart about that stuff, right? Look, I understand there's going to be an adjustment period to the FIBA officiating, but quite frankly, guys like Brooks and Dort are both positioned to benefit from the fact that the FIBA rules allow for more physicality. They really should not be fouling out. And I know that for a few of those fouls, if you watch the game, the last one for Dort, that's just such a unlucky moment type of thing where Dort went flying in the air. The guy, the Greece's player, I forget his name. My God, there's so many of the really funky Greek names out there, but the guy fumbles the ball under the basket, and Dort had already made the decision to go up and take flight. And at that point, hey, shit, you're caught in a foul, and that's how he ends up fouling out. But that kind of stuff is gonna happen. But some of the other stuff, you can respect wanting to play with intensity, and I think you have to play with intensity, but you have to play with intensity without fouling. It's easier said than done, but I do think, considering how important both Brooks and Dort are to Team Canada and to Canada's chances of being on that podium at the end of the tournament, you can't have not just one, but both of them fouling out of the game. That is a huge minus. Now, the next minus, it's gonna be a little bit of a combo one. We're gonna go the bench unit, and we're gonna specifically highlight Jamal Murray here. Now look, Jamal Murray deserves a little bit of a pass. Like, obviously, people are saying he's not fully healthy out there and he's not 100%, so he's doing his best, and I can give kudos to that. That being said, Jamal Murray was not great in this contest, unfortunately. I think he could have been a whole lot worse. Again, I just think it was obvious that he was not healthy, and he's doing the best he can out there, but as far as performances go for Murray, like, he wasn't that great for Canada today. And as far as the bench unit in general goes, like, man, every time that Greece went on their runs, for the most part, like, a lot of the times it would have been, you know, as I was talking about, you know, when Brooks and when Dort were sitting, like, that bench unit came in there and they just could not hold it down. And it's a little surprising considering, you know, one of the big storylines heading into this tournament is the great depth that this Canadian team has, how it's the most talented roster they've ever sent. And those things can be true. And I think obviously they are true, but you would really want your bench unit to be able to, you know, keep the reins on the ship a little bit better, or however you want to phrase that. I feel like that's a weird expression, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you would want them to steer the ship a little bit better when they come in than what you got out of them today. So it's unfortunately a minus for the day. The bench unit was not great, but, you know, all in all, obviously they still managed to turn around to with the win in the end. And obviously I think a big part of it that absolves the bench maybe just a little bit is the fact that, you know, when these guys were fouling out, you know, guys went in there, they filled those spots and they stepped up. So it's a down. It's a very obvious down for the bench, but there were moments that made you feel at least a little bit better about it. And a very obvious up goes out to Gilgeous-Alexander. I think this is one that everybody can kind of get used to, right? Like, Shay's gonna get a lot of ups. Look, there was so many times where Shay just did such a fantastic job controlling the pace of the game, whether it be with his scoring or with his passing. Shay really dictated the pace of the game so much when he was out there and when he was at his best in particular, and even just down the stretch. Like, he was a big component of, you know, making sure that Canada never lost their grips on the game completely. So I think Shay deserves a lot of kudos. He's very obviously one of the best players at the tournament, point blank. So Canada's gonna go to him often. They're gonna rely on him often. And I think of the first major test here, he gets a good grade. And I don't know if this one's, you know, officially gonna count as a down or whatever, but I just want to talk about it. One of the biggest talking points of Canada heading into this tournament was their front court depth, and obviously by comparison how much more talented they are in the backcourt or on the wings by comparison to the front court. And I thought Greece was going to be a really good test game for them, in the sense that obviously they have Giannis and they have a shit ton of size on Greece. I thought they did okay. You know, obviously Giannis dominated the game. You look at that shit, Giannis dominated this ball game, holy. But they managed to survive, right? And I think that's going to be key, is you're obviously a smaller team. Some of your bigs aren't as talented as the rest of your team and the rest of your positions. Being able to survive matchups like this and win ugly is kind of a win at the end of the day, right? Like, it's a win. Whether it's, you know, a pretty game or not, like, they found a way to win the game against a team that very obviously was in position to exploit such a big mismatch. So kudos to them. I mean, obviously you'd like to ideally have situations where, you know, you're holding Giannis to a much lesser game than he had, but considering that, you know, primarily you're throwing, you know, Dillon Brooks on him, who's, you know, Dillon Brooks is a fantastic defender, but he's significantly smaller than Giannis, or like a Dwight Powell on him. Like, when those are your best options, all in all, surviving the scare, I think, is kind of an up, despite the fact that, you know, the production that you gave up is a down. And that does it for me today. What do you folks think? Let me know in the comment section whether or not you like these kinds of, like, this kind of video, this kind of format. I thought I'd play around with it. Obviously, I've been off YouTube a little bit, just taking a little break while I kind of focus on the job. So I thought I'd come back with this. I thought it was a fun idea, and yeah, if you guys agree, just let me know in the comment sections, or if you just have any thoughts on the game in general, obviously drop it in the comment section below. Other than that, folks, end of the video, so usual drill, make sure you're leaving a like on it. Again, I really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and yeah, it's been JJ Buckets. It's been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.